Imagine, you're at a party. Some smug douchebag in a turtleneck is pontificating about how anyone can be great if they just try hard enough. Meanwhile, in the corner, there's some poor bastard who's been grinding 16-hour days for a decade and still can't crack six figures. But sure, it's all about hustle culture. Not like genetics, luck, or the fact that your dad got you that sweet nepotism internship at his hedge fund. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to hear. Life isn't fair, and a lot of that unfairness is baked into your goddamn DNA. You can scream about meritocracy all you want, but the universe doesn't give a shit about your motivational posters. Some people are born smarter, faster, prettier. Hell, some are just born luckier. And the rest of us? We're out here playing life on hard mode, while the genetic lottery winners pretend they got here through grit and positive affirmations. Let's cut the bullshit. You ever notice how the self-improvement industry is just one giant cope for the fact that we don't all start from the same fucking baseline? Just wake up at 4 a.m. Cool, except my circadian rhythm is wired for nocturnal panic spirals, and your productivity hack sounds like a great way to turn into a sleep-deprived ghoul. Just work harder. Awesome. Except my dopamine receptors are about as responsive as a brick, and your discipline is just neurochemistry you didn't earn. We've been sold this lie that we're all blank slates, that anyone can be Einstein if they just read enough productivity books. Meanwhile, science is over here laughing their ass off, waving twin studies in our faces, screaming, "It's genetics, dumbass." But no, we'd rather blame laziness, or society, or not manifesting hard enough. Anything but admit that maybe, just maybe, some of us are playing with a stacked deck. So here's the question that's going to haunt you. What if the reason you're not a billionaire rock star astronaut isn't because you didn't want it badly enough, but because the universe handed you a different set of cards? And more importantly, what the hell do you do about it? Next up, we're diving into the psychological and philosophical clusterfuck of why we're so desperate to deny genetics. Spoiler, it's because admitting the truth means giving up the fantasy that we're all temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Stay tuned, or don't. Your call. But if you're still here, you're either a masochist or finally ready to hear some uncomfortable truths. Either way, welcome to the party. Let's get one thing straight. You're not lazy, you're just genetically fucked. That voice in your head screaming, "Why can't I just be like them?" isn't your lack of willpower. It's 200,000 years of evolutionary biology laughing at your pathetic attempts to outsmart natural selection. Here's what your high school guidance counselor didn't tell you. Motivation isn't some mystical force you summon through vision boards. It's dopamine receptors, serotonin levels, and a cocktail of neurotransmitters that might as well be playing Russian roulette with your productivity. Some people wake up ready to conquer the world because their brains literally reward them for doing basic shit. Your brain gives you the same chemical response for finishing a project as it does for eating stale crackers. Nietzsche was right when he said, "To those human beings who are of any concern to me, I wish suffering." Because the comfortable lie that we're all equal is more dangerous than any hard truth. The modern world wants you to believe that with enough kale smoothies and productivity hacks, you can overcome millions of years of evolutionary programming. That's not self-help. That's biological denialism. Consider this. Your ability to delay gratification isn't some moral virtue. It's literally coded in your COMT gene variants. Some people are wired for long-term focus, while others are stuck chasing dopamine hits like a lab rat pressing a pleasure button. And before you start blaming yourself, remember, you didn't choose your fucking genes. The psychological damage comes when we take these genetic differences and turn them into moral failings. Can't stick to a diet? Must be weak-willed. Struggle with focus? Obviously not trying hard enough. This is where Jordan Peterson's lobster hierarchy meets brutal reality. The playing field was never level to begin with, and pretending otherwise just makes you feel worse about shit you can't control. Here's the philosophical kicker. Our entire concept of free will starts looking pretty shaky when you realize how much of your choices are just biology playing out in slow motion. Schopenhauer saw this coming when he wrote, "Man can do what he wills, but he cannot. Well, what he wills." Translation, you've got about as much control over your fundamental nature as a salmon has over swimming upstream. The real mindfuck? Society needs this illusion of control to function. If people realized how much of their lives were determined by genetic lottery, the entire self-help industry would collapse overnight. No more $2,000 seminars promising to unlock your potential. No more gurus selling productivity porn to the genetically average. Just cold hard acceptance that some people won the fucking lottery and you got scratch-off tickets. Coming next, we're about to expose how this biological determinism silently runs your life, from who you date to how much money you'll make. And yes, it's going to piss you off. Good. Stay angry. That's your amygdala finally waking up to reality. Welcome to the grand cosmic joke where your genes are the punchline. That anxiety you can't shake? The ADHD that makes focus feel like herding cats on meth? The depression that clings to you like a bad ex? Congratulations, you didn't fail the system. The system failed you by pretending biology doesn't exist while worshiping at the altar of personal responsibility. Let's talk about how this genetic determinism fucks you in ways you haven't even realized. Your career prospects were partially decided before you were born. Studies show genetic factors account for about 40% of income variation. That promotion you didn't get might have come down to your MAOA gene variant making you less of a cutthroat psychopath than the guy who got it. The entrepreneurial success stories we worship? Often just genetic outliers with risk-taking polymorphisms that would get normal people institutionalized. Dating is even more brutal. Attraction isn't some magical connection. It's MHC compatibility, facial symmetry ratios, and pheromone receptors playing biological matchmaker while your conscious mind scrambles to rationalize it as chemistry. That spark you keep looking for? Just your olfactory system subconsciously sniffing out immune system compatibility like some kind of horny bloodhound. Even your goddamn political views are heritable. Twin studies show about 40 to 60% of ideological leanings come prepackaged in your DNA. That uncle you avoid at Thanksgiving because he's a conspiracy nut? He didn't choose to be that way. His COMT and DRD4 genes built him that way. The woke activist screaming about privilege? Her OXDR variants make her more sensitive to social injustice. Everyone's just a meat puppet for their alleles while pretending they arrived at their beliefs through rational thought. The education system might be the biggest joke of all. We force kids through identical curricula while ignoring that intelligence is 50 to 80% heritable. The hard worker getting straight A's probably has the right combination of CHRM2 and SNAP 25 variants making focus effortless. The kid struggling in math might have dyscalculia-related gene variants, but we'll just call him lazy instead of adapting the teaching method. Here's the bitter pill. Society runs on the fiction that we're blank slates because the alternative would require actual systemic change. It's easier to blame individuals than admit that. Some people will never be good at math, no matter how hard they try. Willpower is largely genetic, not moral. Your ceiling might be someone else's floor through no fault of your own. Coming next, the rebellion against genetic determinism, not through denial, but through radical self-acceptance and system hacking. Because while you can't change your DNA, you can stop letting society gaslight you about what's possible. The game is rigged, but you're about to learn how to play dirty. Alright, listen up you magnificent genetic mistake. Now that we've established life dealt you a shitty hand, it's time to learn how to bluff like a fucking poker champion. You can't change your DNA, but you can absolutely game the system so hard it coughs up your winnings anyway. First, stop comparing yourself to genetic lottery winners. That Instagram fitness guru with the superhero physique probably has myostatin-related muscle hypertrophy. That billionaire entrepreneur likely carries the warrior gene variant, making him a risk-taking maniac. Comparing yourself to them is like being upset you can't outrun a cheetah. Play your own game. Here's your new battle plan. Find your biological sweet spot. Your genes aren't your destiny. They're your playbook. 23andMe isn't just for finding out your 2.4% Neanderthal. It's reconnaissance. Carry the ADHD genes. Stop trying to fit the neurotypical mold and build a life that works with your scatterbrain superpowers. Have the warrior COMT variant. Quit forcing yourself into high-stress roles and leverage your genetic attention to detail instead. Hack your biochemistry. Your brain is a drug lab. Learn to be its Walter White. No dopamine motivation. Trick your brain with micro-rewards. Serotonin always low. Get militant about sleep, sunlight, and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. This isn't self-help. It's psychopharmacological warfare. Build a custom-fit life. The one-size-fits-all approach was designed by idiots for averages that don't exist. Night owl forced into a 9 to 5? Either find remote work or become so invaluable they let you work vampire hours. Terrible at traditional education, but learn by doing? Skip college and build a portfolio that makes degrees irrelevant. Your genes are limitations only if you play by rules that ignore them. Exploit the mismatch. Modern society is an evolutionary mismatch disaster. Turn that to your advantage. Our ancestors never had to focus for 8 hours straight in cubicles. If your brain rebels against this unnatural torture, maybe it's right. Build a career around sprint work instead of marathon suffering. Use technology to compensate for biological shortcomings like a cyborg with better hair. Redefine success on your terms. The biggest fuck you to genetic determinism? Deciding what matters for yourself. The rat race is designed for certain genotypes. If you're not built for it, stop bashing your head against the wall and build your own race. Happiness studies show once basic needs are met, additional income does jack shit for well-being. Maybe your genetic destiny isn't to be rich, but to be free. The revolution starts here, not in denying biology, but in weaponizing self-knowledge to carve your own path. The system wants you either ignorant of your limitations or defeated by them. Your move is to study them like a general studies terrain before battle, then attack where you're strong and bypass where you're weak. Next up, the ultimate truth about genetic determinism that will either liberate you or break you. Hint, it involves accepting that while the dice were loaded, you're the one who gets to decide what game you're playing. Bring a stiff drink. This is where we separate the grown-ups from the children still waiting for their participation trophies. Here's the final, brutal, liberating truth. Your genes are the cards you were dealt, but you're the only one at the table who gets to decide how to play them. That's not some inspirational poster bullshit. It's the cold, hard reality that separates the winners from the whiners. Let's get one thing straight. Acknowledging genetic limits isn't defeatism. It's strategic intelligence. The Army doesn't send tanks into swamps and Navy SEALs don't attack with a marching band. They play to their fucking strengths. Yet here you are, beating yourself up for not being something your DNA never intended you to be. How's that working out for you? The real game changer comes when you realize that within your genetic constraints lies something extraordinary. Authentic fucking freedom. Not the freedom to be anything. That's children's fairy tale shit. But the freedom to be the best version of what you actually are. The freedom that comes from wasting zero more time on impossible dreams. Leveraging every biological advantage you've got. Building a life that fits you instead of contorting yourself to fit some bullshit template. Nietzsche was right. Become who you are. Not who your parents wanted, not who society rewards, not who your insecure ego fantasizes about being. Your actual, factual, genetically constrained self. There's power in that authenticity that no amount of faking it can match. Here's the ultimate paradox. The people who change the world aren't the ones who deny their nature. They're the ones who weaponize it. Churchill's depressive realism. Einstein's autistic focus. Musk's psychopathic ambition. They didn't overcome their biology. They channeled it. Your so-called flaws might just be your unfair advantage waiting to be aimed properly. So here's your final assignment, should you choose to accept it. Take a merciless inventory of your biological assets and liabilities. No sugarcoating. Ruthlessly eliminate goals that require being someone you're not. Double down on paths where your unique genetic makeup gives you an edge. Build systems that work with your biology instead of against it. Give exactly zero fucks about anyone's opinion on your life design. The genetic lottery may have given you a rusty spoon instead of a silver one. But history's full of people who used rusty spoons to dig their way to freedom while the silver spoon crowd was busy polishing their privilege. Final thought. You're not here to win a race designed for someone else's anatomy. You're here to run your own race, on your own terms, with the only body and brain you'll ever have. That's not limitation, that's liberation. Now get the fuck out there and start playing your game instead of the one you were never meant to win.